But President Truman surprised everyone with his strong support.
I was told by all these so-called experts that if it was done, it would involve the whole Near East in a war, and it would also involve the United States. Hitler had been murdering Jews right and left. I saw it, and I dream about it even to this day. The Jews needed some place where they could go. It was my attitude that the American government couldn't stand idly by while the victims of Hitler's madness were not allowed to build new lives.
Marshall was worried that war would break out.
We are in the midst of a very critical situation. We should therefore carefully avoid approaching international problems on an emotional basis.
He wanted to maintain good relations with the Arabs.
I was on the receiving end of Azam Pasha's impressions of his meeting with Marshall. And he was happy. I mean, he felt much more reassured about the Americans after having talked to Marshall than before. And we had the Saudis with us. They were our partners in this business.
2 days before the British left Palestine, Truman summoned Marshall to the White House. Clark Clifford was asked to support the case for a Jewish state.
General Marshall started off. The president listened attentively and then said, I would like now to hear from Clark. But as I spoke, I saw Marshall's face getting redder and redder. And when I finished, he exploded.
Marshall accused Truman of a transparent dodge to win the Jewish vote.
Clark Clifford did not disguise the fact that Marshall was raging mad. They don't need a state, they don't deserve a state, it isn't theirs. They've stolen that land. These were Marshall's words.
He turned to the president, said, I'm obliged, Mr. President, to tell you that if you should adopt the policy that is recommended by Clifford, I would be unable to vote for you in this coming election in November. Well, dead silence in the room. No one had ever heard anything like that. I had never heard anybody threaten the President of the United States in that manner.
Before Marshall could go any further, Truman ended the meeting.
I gathered my papers together, and the president said, well, that was tough as a cob.
Marshall said to Charette, well, it's your decision. Don't count that we can bail you out, but we know that you have reached an historic stage, and God protect you.
For the Jews of Palestine, this was a critical moment. Ben-Gurion was determined to go ahead with or without international support.
I had to act fast. I didn't consult anyone. Today, the British mandate over the land of Israel ends. We declare a Jewish state in the ancient land of Israel. It will be called the State of Israel.
At the same time, the UN's role in Palestine was supposed to end.
When the hands pointed to 6 o'clock, the Iraqi delegate got up and said,
Mr. President, there is a very important matter to consider before we proceed. The time is 1 minute past 6. Indeed, I think it is 2 minutes. The United States delegate, when he came to this rostrum, declared that if by 6 o'clock we cannot arrive at any conclusion, the whole game is up, and I hold that to you, Mr. President, to give us the ruling. The time is past 6 now.
That was about the only occasion when the Iraqi delegate and I have ever agreed on anything. He was full of exuberance because he thought the game is up and now the road is open for the Arab invasion. I felt that the game is up, and that meant that we were free to establish our state without being accused of impinging upon an international decision.
Then the news from Israel arrived.
This government has been informed that a Jewish state has been proclaimed in Palestine, and recognition has been requested by the provisional government thereof. The United States recognizes the provisional government as the de facto authority of the new state of Israel.
Scarcely had the United States pronounced its words of recognition, and almost unnoticed by our own delegation, which was still celebrating our American victory, Andrew Gromyko rose and said that the Soviet Union, which, unlike the Western powers which had abandoned the Jewish people to its dark and fearful fate, the Soviet Union recognizes the state of Israel. And therefore, I would say that the issue of Israel's recognition was solved almost miraculously within a few hours of our independence declaration.
After 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people had a state of their own. But even as they danced, Israel's fate hung in the balance. The day after Ben-Gurion declared the state of Israel, the armies of Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria invaded.